Hare Krishna, everyone. Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for joining, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. Before reading Bhagavatam, let's say some prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swarupa Tadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Shri Guru Shri Guru Namaste Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sarvajatam Vikam Sarvajatam Sarvajatam Shri Radha Krishna He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedant Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Charane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarane Kum Karukti Vachalam Pangum Lankaya Yatripadam Shri Guru Dina Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Purvegana Chatraya Hare Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll say Bhagavatam prayers in a few minutes, but just setting the scene for everybody. What is this chapter about? So this chapter is titled Narad's Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. So remember that Vyasadeva compiled all our Vedic literature, right? He compiled all the Puranas, Upanishads, Mahabharata, and also all the Puranas. So which is Bhagavatam is one of the Puranas. Bhagavatam is one of his last works, so that he did at the very maturity of his career. So when he was at the peak of his career, of his literary career, when he's writing, this is the result of that, of all the transcendental knowledge that he acquired from his guru, from the Lord, and from all the devotees. So this is the mature work of his of all the Vedas that he compiled. So now before we start reading Bhagavatam tells us how Vyasadeva got inspiration to write this particular literature. Why did he write this literature? And that is what is detailed in this chapter. Okay, so every inspiration typically comes from your guru, your spiritual master, right? They show you the path and you carry out that service. So same thing happened for Vyasadeva. So does anyone know who is the guru of Vyasadeva? Yes, Narad Muni, right? So Narad Muni. So Hari Bol. This is the scene. Imagine the scene. Vyasadeva has done this glorious work of compiling Vedas, so much literature, so much knowledge he put in all this literary work. Now he's sitting outside his ashram, and he's very dissatisfied. So imagine he has done this great service, a lot of work, but he's still feeling very despondent, not completely happy, little bit anxious and dissatisfied. He has some hankering, some void in his heart that he's not able to understand. What is it that I'm not, why am I not completely happy, completely satisfied? And his guru, Narad Muni, walks into the scene. He sensed his disciples, restlessness, and he walked into the scene, and he inquired after the well-being of Vyasadeva. He said, "Okay, so my dear disciple Vyasadeva, how are you doing? Are you completely happy and satisfied? You've done such amazing service for the Lord. You must be really happy." So here Vyasadeva opened his heart to his Guru Maharaj. He said, he shared his restlessness with him, that I'm not completely satisfied. There is something that is missing. Something is really agitating me. I don't know what that is. Can you please help me? So just like Arjun, asked Krishna, right? What did he say? कार्पण्य दोषोपहता स्वभावा पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढचेता यच्छ्रेयश्च निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यास्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्. Using this link for our Bhakti Vriksha, please use the link. So he said, Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tvam Prapannam. So I'm your Shishya. Please help me out of this difficulty. So then Narad Muni said, my dear Vyas, you have done so much. You have done amazing service, no doubt. But I believe that all that you have written so far, okay, all that you have done so far, in my humble opinion, all that you have done is really worthless. It's really, and you will read this, he'll say, it's really wasteful. It's not, it's really inferior. Why? Because he says, and he says this in verse 8, I'll put the translation up, you can see. He says, you have talked about all these dharma, arth, kam, moksha, all these material things. You have talked about how people can make their life very comfortable in this world, in this material world. So you have given various means for that, how to do dharma. With dharma, then you do some kuch money, या economic development करते हो आप, कुछ financial growth करते हो, right? That is earth. फिर उससे लोग sense enjoyment में engage होते हैं, right? So that is calm. And then when they're so frustrated with the sense enjoyment, then they go towards liberation. So moksha. So okay, this is all very material. You've done all this. You've described all this. But you have not glorified, you have not actually broadcasted. You can read the verse on the screen. You have not glorified this spotless glories, the sublime glories of the Lord. So whatever philosophy you have given is actually worthless. It's actually wasteful, waste of anybody's time, because you have not satisfied the senses of the Lord. And such philosophy, there are many philosophers in modern world. There are many motivational speakers, many people writing all kinds of philosophies based on their mental speculation and based on their limited intelligence and understanding, so-called motivational speakers, right? But if their philosophy is not glorifying the Lord, then it is waste of everybody's time. It is waste of everybody's time. Because what they can do is, they can bring you to a platform where you are mentally stable, you're living a healthy lifestyle, you're eating good, maybe people will become less angry, maybe people will be happy with each other. Okay, fine, all happy and calm with each other and things like that. But still, that's not the highest, right? Once you've reached that platform, once these so-called self-realized souls bring you to that platform, then you need to go to the next platform, which is to discuss the glories, which is to read and hear the glories of the Lord. You need to engage in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, the name, form, qualities of the Lord, Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela. So who in this world today is describing the Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela of the Lord? That is Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So, and these pastimes alone can fully, so look at this, that philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is worthless. So this is not me saying, this is Narad Muni saying. And so he said, the only Lord's pastimes can fully satisfy the soul. Imagine जैसे कोई jigsaw puzzle है, आप pieces लगा रहे हो puzzle के, right? But the piece that needs to go there, you're not putting that piece. Instead of that, you're putting some different piece, right? It will fill the space, thoda bahut, but it will not fit properly. So if you want to fit the jigsaw puzzle, if you want to complete the jigsaw puzzle properly, you need to put the piece that is missing. And so the piece that is missing for the soul, that the soul is hankering for, is to engage in hearing about the Lord, in developing this emotional dynamic relationship with the Lord. That is what soul is missing. It wants that those exchanges with the Lord, that relationship with the Lord, that is missing, right? So if you put some other piece with some other philosophy, with something else of this world, कुछ mental speculation से generate करके, या कुछ बॉलीवुड का देख लिया, या कुछ क्रिकेट देख लिया, या कुछ पॉलिटिकल कुछ न्यूज पढ़ लिया और सोचा कि हम satisfy हो जाएंगे उससे, कुछ अच्छा खा लिया, कुछ whatever, that will maybe fill the space a little, very temporarily, but ultimately soul will still not be satisfied. So vacuum, that void, will still remain in the heart. So that is the situation here. So Narad Muni said, so all that you've described is wasteful. So let's go to the verse of the day today and start reading. So this was the next verse. Although great sage, you have very broadly described the four principles, religious performances, you have not described the glories of the Supreme Personality Vasudev. So Narad Muni is giving a very clear-cut instruction here to Vyasadeva, that all that you have done is to bring people to maybe a state of liberation, but liberation is not enough. Is liberation the goal? You would think, oh, liberation is the goal, right? What are they talking about? धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष, यहाँ पे तो नारद मुनि खुद ही बोल रहे हैं कि आपने four principles बताए, starting with the religious principle, which religious performances, which is dharma, and the last of four principles is moksha. So that means Narad Muni is saying that even those four principles, including moksha, is not enough. Who agrees with that? Isn't moksha the goal of life? Isn't that what we are trying to achieve? Moksha? Is there something superior than moksha? Don't we just want to get out of this material world? So then why is Narad Muni saying that all you have described is the four? If he has described the four principles, then that should be good, right? The fourth principle of moksha, the fourth purusharth, that should be good. So is there a pancham purusharth that Vyasadeva has missed so far, that Narad Muni is instructing him to write about? Yes, Vedi.
That for devotees, more than moksha, they want to serve the devotees and the Lord and please them. And if they want to do that more than they want to get out of the material.
So what is moksha? Moksha is a soul realizes that I'm stuck in this world, I'm suffering. So to stop their suffering, they want to get liberated. But that's not the goal of a devotee, right? The Pancham Purusharth is Bhakti Yoga, right? Go ahead.
If you get moksha, might even go to Brahma Jyoti, right?
Yes.
And then that's boring.
Exactly. So moksha mil gaya, suffering khatam ho gayi, but suffering khatam karna is not the goal. It's like, imagine in a hospital, sick people are admitted. Doctor treats the sick person and he fixes his fever. But is that the only goal? That patient wants not only to just get better, but to become so good that he can go out and enjoy the life, right? He wants to be joyful. He doesn't just want to be relieved of the suffering. Moksha only means relief from suffering, from material suffering. It doesn't mean joy. But the soul wants joy. Soul wants bliss. Anandamayo bhyasa. That is the nature of the soul. It wants joy. So it wants, ठीक है, मोक्ष पे आ गए, पर उसके बाद भी जाना है आगे. Joy चाहिए हमको, bliss चाहिए, right? We all want to have fun, right? We all want pleasure, happiness. That's what we're trying to do. Wherever we can get pleasure, right? By dancing, by playing, by eating, by watching, by reading, by hearing, anything. We're just trying to get pleasure. So our goal is not to just release ourselves from suffering, but actually to get bliss. So the bliss that we can have is by when the soul has the full on experience with the Lord, where there is a complete relationship going on. Lord is reciprocating with you. You are reciprocating with the Lord. There is a dynamic exchanges going on. That is the bliss. So that is the goal of life, not just moksha. So Narad Muni is completely, and Narad Muni is enjoying that himself. Only somebody who's enjoying it himself, like Prabhupada, he was enjoying it himself. That is why he would call everybody ki these people are foolish, these people are vimulatma. Why? Because they're not going for the highest, topmost thing that is available out there. And it is available in the pages of Bhagavatam. You don't have to look too far. You don't have to spend any money. You don't have to do anything. You have to just sit at home and read Bhagavatam. So Narad Muni is saying that's what you've not described. मुक्ति के बारे में बोलते हैं.
नव्या ने सही बोला ना, बोरिंग हो जाएगा.
Boring.
सोल का नेचर है एक्टिव रहना, तो कैसे एक्टिव होगा मोक्ष लेकर? इसलिए भक्ति करना है. क्या पॉइंट बताओ? बोरिंग है.
It is boring. It is depressing. We don't want depressing. We want to engage in a relationship. That is what we are. What were we doing yesterday? What were we doing? We were giving some taste to those people, right? Positive taste to the senior people, right? What are we doing here? We are engaging in a relationship, right? We like to talk. We like to mingle. That's what we want with the Lord also and his devotees. That is the goal. Moksha is not the goal. मोक्ष के लिए क्या बोलते हैं? मुक्ति कहे गोपाल से मेरी मुक्ति बताए. तो मुक्ति गोपाल को पूछती है कि मैं कैसे मुक्त हूँ, मैं सबको मुक्त करती हूँ, मैं कैसे मुक्त हूँ. तो गोपाल क्या बोलते हैं? व्रज रज मस्तक लगे मुक्ति मुक्त हो जाए. क्योंकि व्रज रज में कृष्णा ने पास टाइम्स की हैं, एक्सचेंजेस की हैं विद हिज मदर, विद हिज फादर, विद हिज फ्रेंड्स, विद हिज लवर्स, विद राधा रानी, विद बलराम जी. There have been exchanges, beautiful exchanges, right? Topmost exchanges that are possible, unalloyed pure exchanges. So वो मिट्टी जब आपके मस्तक पे लगेगी तब मुक्ति मुक्त हो जाए, he says, right? And there is another beautiful verse that comes. This is very nice. Nirvay Prabhu likes this verse. So एक बार एक devotee बैठ के, एक pure devotee of the Lord, भगवान का शुद्ध नाम का भजन कर रहे थे, ठीक है, अपने घर में बैठ के. तभी डोर पे खटखट होती है, खट 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 खट. He opens the door. So this verse is a conversation between the person who's standing at the door and this devotee. So when he opens the door, there is a lady standing at the door. So he says, this is a conversation. He says, I'll just say the verse and then break it down. Katvam muktirupagitasmi bhavato kasmadiha Shri Krishna smaranena devo bhavatu Dāsi padam prapita dure tishta managanagasi katham kuryadanaryam mai त्वद्गन्धान् निज नाम चंदन रसा लेपस्य लोपो भवेत्. Listen to this, okay? He says, कात्वम, आप कौन हो? He says, कात्वम. She says, मुक्ति, मैं मुक्ति हूँ. ठीक है, तुम नाम भजन कर रहे थे, मैं मुक्ति हूँ. कात्वम, मुक्ति. तो वो बोलता है डिवोटी, कस्माद अकस्मादिहा, why have you come here? By chance or किसी ने आपको बुलाया? कस्माद या अकस्माद आए हो? तो ये कॉन्वर्सेशन है. कात्वम, मुक्ति. कस्माद अकस्मादिहा. So she says, श्री कृष्णा स्मरणेन देवो भवतो, कि आप कृष्णा के नाम का स्मरण कर रहे थे. श्री कृष्णा स्मरणेन देवो भवतो दासी पदम प्रापिता, इसलिए मैं दासी का पद लेने आई हूँ आपसे, मैं आपकी दासी बनने आई हूँ. मतलब कि मैं, क्योंकि आप कृष्णा का नाम ले रहे थे, श्री कृष्णा स्मरणेन देवो भवतो दासी पदम प्रापिता. सो ही सेज दूरे तिष्ठा, मुझसे दूर रहो. मुक्ति को बोलता है मुझसे दूर रहो, डिवोटी बोलता है दूरे तिष्ठा. So Mukti, she's scared. The lady is scared. Why? She says, कुर्याद अनार्य मई, कि आप मुझसे अनार्य, मतलब कि इनह्यूमन, ऐसे क्यों बात कर रहे हो क्रूड वे में, है ना? वैष्णव तो बहुत टॉप क्लास बिहेवियर होता है, आप मुझे ऐसे क्यों बोल रहे हो? दूरे तिष्ठा मना घना गसी कतम कुर्याद अनार्य मई, आप मुझसे ऐसे क्यों अनार्य बिहेवियर कर रहे हो? आर्य होते हैं जो टॉप क्लास लोग होते हैं, अनार्य मतलब जो लो क्लास होते हैं. सो ही सेज, त्वत्गंधान निज नाम चंदन रसा, अगर तुम्हारी गंध भी मेरे ऊपर पड़ गई ना, तुम्हारी मुक्ति की गंध भी मेरे ऊपर पड़ गई, निज नाम चंदन रसा, जो मैंने नाम ले ले के अपने ऊपर चंदन का लेप लगाया है, मैंने भगवान का इतना नाम लिया है कि मेरे ऊपर एक चंदन का लेप लगा है जिसकी खुशबू आती है, तुम्हारी गंध से वो लेपस्य लोपो भवेत, वो सब गायब हो जाएगी. कि तुम्हारी गंध भी मेरे पास आ गई मुक्ति की. अगर किसी को पता चल गया, अगर वैष्णवों को पता चल गया कि मुझे मुक्ति चाहिए, तो निज नाम चंदन रसा, मेरे नाम के, मेरे बॉडी पे जो चंदन की खुशबू है नाम लेने से, वो खत्म हो जाएगी. सो दिस इज द स्टैंड ऑफ डिवोटीज, दिस इज द स्टैंड ऑफ टॉप क्लास पीपल. सो हमें भगवान की सेवा में एंगेज होना है, वो चाहे उसके लिए मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में ही क्यों ना बार बार आना पड़े, राइट? सो दिस भागवतम गिव्स यू दैट top class relationship with the Lord and his pastimes. So these are the 2 verses that we will recite. And you can all take turns to recite and read, and we'll read the purport of the 2 verses of the next verse and discuss it a little. We'll just say some Bhagavatam prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nārayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiriye nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavad sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nanda gopa kumaraya govindaya namo namah. So let's recite this verse. So Narad Muni is continuing. He's going to discuss कि कैसे हरि कथा सबसे best है, topmost है. So let's read these. Nayadvachaschitra padam hareryasho. Nayadvachaschitra padam hareryasho. Jagat pavitram praganita karhi chet. Jagat pavitram praganita karhi chet. Tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa. Tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa. Na yatra hamsa nirmanti ushikshaya. Na yatra hamsa nirmanti ushikshaya. Anyone wants to recite? Yes. We'll follow you. Na yadvachaschitra padam hareryasho. Karpanne doshutyam. Jagat pavitram pragranita karhi chet. Tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa. Na yatra hamsa nirmanti ushikshaya. Anyone else wants to say? Yes, Navya. Nayadvachas. Nayadvachaschitra padam hareryasho. Jagat pavitram pragranita karhi chet. Tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa. Na yatra hamsa nirmanti ushikshaya. Anyone wants to read the translation really loud? Yes, can you take a mic? Anyone else wants to read since you recited? Okay, yes. Really loud.
Those words which do not describe the glory who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for growth. Since the alternative persons are inhabitants of this transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure.
Hari Bol. I'll just simplify this verse very quick, then we'll do the next one, and both of those two will put together. So this verse, na yad vachas, vachas matlab those words that do not describe the words that may be very well composed, right? Chitrapada means that words may be very beautiful poetry and prose and very beautifully composed. The perfect vocabulary is used, right? But they do not describe Hare Yasho, the glories of the Lord. So there are best poems and books and novels and movies and best words, right? Very eloquent speakers, the very beautiful English or command on Sanskrit or whatever language they're using, but they do not describe Hare Yasho. Why? So that then those words are basically saying tad vayasam. Vayasam hota hai crows. So that's like crows talking. जहाँ पे crows तीर्थ करने जाते हैं. तीर्थम मतलब that place is like a pilgrimage for crows. So Narad Muni is very hard. So you think Prabhupada is hard? You think, you think Krishna is hard? No, because people, the devotees that actually care about your well-being. Imagine your grandfather, you're doing something wrong. You're smoking in front of your grandpa. What will your grandpa do? Slap you, right? He'll call you names. So why do we feel bad when Prabhupada says something or when Krishna says Vimudatma and things? No, because these pure devotees are actually your well-wishers, right? Not the people of this world that are bringing you into more and more pleasures and agitating the senses more and more. No, these devotees know what is best for you. So they say that this type of words may be the best composed. You think this is such beautiful poetry, but this is actually just pilgrimage for crows. यहाँ पर वायसम तीर्थ करते हैं. वायसम मतलब crows pilgrimage करते हैं. ना यत्र हमसा, वहां पे हमसा नहीं जाते. हमसा कौन होते हैं? Swans. This is the difference between crows and swans. If you think of the birds, crows are sitting in always garbage and rubbish places, right? Eating the remnants and leftover stuff, right? Swans, think of a swan. Swan is like a pristine bird, sitting in very clean water, right? So, and Paramhamsas, that is why those saints are called Paramhamsas. Why? Because they have all swan-like qualities. स्वान की क्वालिटी ये होती है कि वो क्या करता है?
पानी में से भी दूध निकाल लेता है.
Right. So that is what Paramhamsas are like, right? So these places where the words are not describing Hari Yasho, their Hamsas or the pure devotees of the Lord, they do not take any pleasure there. They do not derive any pleasure there. Jagat Pavitram. Why? Because those Hari Katha, the Hare Yasho, has the capability of purifying the world. Jagat Pavitram Pragranita Karichit. That those places get sanctified. Those places get purified. Just those tongues get purified. That heart gets cleansed. Those people get purified. Those souls get purified. That's Singh Hari Katha. So otherwise, all those words may be very beautiful, very eloquent speech, but it does not mean anything. It is waste of our time, right? So we don't care how best the poetry or lyrical the poetry is, how melodious it is, best meter mein ho sakti hai, right? So you think that was rough. Let's see what else he
Very rough.
says. So he's basically guiding you towards saintly people. They guide you towards Hari Katha, right? So saintly people do not have any taste in such literatures, he says, because they are related to worldly matters. They're related to gross body, at the most subtle body. So let's read the next one also, and then this purport we can read. Everybody takes turn to read the purport. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11. This is a memory verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, by the way. Tadvag visargo jantag viplavo. Tadvag visargo jantag viplavo. Yasmin prati shloke abhadvatyapi. Yasmin prati shloke abhadvatyapi. नामानि अनन्तास्य यशो अंकितानि यात्. नामानि अनन्तास्य यशो अंकितानि यात्. शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवा. शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवा. Please recite as many people as can. Try to memorize this. तद्वाग् विसर्गो जन्ताग् विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमभवत्यपि अंकितानि यत् नामानि अनन्तस्य यशो अंकितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवा.
तद्वाग् विसर्गो जन्ताग विप्लवो
तद्वाग् विसर्गो जन्ताग् विप्लवो
यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अवदवन्ति अपि
यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमबद्धवत्यपि
नामानि अनन्तस्य यशो निकान्तानि यत्
नामानि अन्तस्य यशो अंकितानि यत्
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवा
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवा. Anybody else? Yes. तद्वाग् विसर्गो जनताग् विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमभवत्यपि नामानि अनन्तस्य यशो अंकितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवा. Okay, let's read the translation. Who wants to read? Okay. Nabir wants to.
The other hand, the lack of scripture, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glory of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about the revolution in the impact lives of this world, misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, they are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest.
So Narad Muni is saying, कितना भी तुमने अच्छा लिटरेचर लिखा, बेस्ट प्रोज यूज किया, सब कुछ, लेकिन वो वर्थलेस था क्योंकि उसमें हरे यशो नहीं था. ठीक है, हरि का गान नहीं था, गुणगान नहीं था, पास्ट प्रेज, वी से प्रेज द लॉर्ड, राइट, प्रेज नहीं थी लॉर्ड की. So then he said, then he's encouraging Vyasadeva. So compile a literature that has the glories of the Lord, even though it is imperfectly composed. Don't worry about the perfect composition. Now Bhagavatam is perfectly composed. I mean, each and every verse is madhuram madhurebhyopi mangalebhyopi mangalam. But he's saying, he's giving him encouragement, you know, spiritual master giving encouragement to his disciple, that even though these are imperfectly composed, they will be heard, sung, and accepted by all the saints, all the purified men. So that literature, which is full of the name, fame, glories, pastimes of the Lord, they bring about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. So this Bhagavatam, actually, you know, some people have asked me, how did you get into devotional service, or how did things change for you so fast? How did you take on to this process so fast? And we try to give various answers, but this is the answer. Daily reading Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. This is what was the reason. Prabhu can testify here. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam. It creates a revolution in the impious lives of people. And I know not just me and him, with so many examples. So it has the potential to create revolution in the impure hearts and the impure lives of people. So he's giving him hope here. Now somebody can say, why is Narad Muni condemning all the work of Vyasadeva? He's saying everything is worthless and waste of time. Didn't he write Mahabharata and he wrote Bhagavad Gita is part of it, and then he glorified Krishna's pastimes, and there's some word, there is other Puranas and various places where he has glorified Krishna, right, here and there. So what? So why not? Why is that not being glorified? Yes, Mother.
Because it's all philosophy and people want to hear stories.
Okay, that's yeah. And there is one more point. Yes, Mataji.
Because the Guru knows the best in you, and Narad Muni being the Guru, he knew that whatever he has done so far, that's not the best. He wanted you to
Sure. So he's he knows his potential. Okay, but the point here, the problem with the rest of the other literature is he talked about the Lord, but he talked about the Lord in bits and pieces. It was not a repeated discussion about the Lord's, just completely about his name, form, qualities, pastimes, and his associates. It was not about that. There was so example, for example, आपको कोई खाने पे बुलाए और माता जी बोले कि मैं आपको ना इडली सांभर खिलाऊंगी, ठीक है, हम इडली सांभर खाने माता जी, ललिता माता जी के घर गए, ओके, इडली सांभर एंड डोसा. जब माता जी ने प्लेट सर्व की तो उसमें इडली सांभर तो थोड़ा सा था एक साइड में, ठीक है, और बाकी सारी प्लेट में शी पुट अचार ही अचार, बहुत सारा अचार डाल दिया, ठीक है. तो आप कहोगे कि भाई इडली सांभर खाने बुलाया था या अचार खाने बुलाया था? सो द मेन डिश जो खाने बुलाया था, जो खानी चाहिए थी, जो मेन डिश खा के हम सेटिस्फाई होते, वो मेन डिश तो थोड़ी सी रह गई साइड में, और बाकी सब इधर उधर की चीजें ये सब डाल दी इतनी प्लेट में, तो उससे हमारा पेट कैसे भरेगा? तो सोल इज नॉट satisfied because there were so many other things that Krishna, जो थोड़ा बहुत tidbits he discussed here and there, was lost in all this other things going on, all this masaledar stuff going on around, right?
I mean, Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, but you know, just but it's Krishna's instructions. Like, it's not discussing his name, form, qualities, and pastime that much. But like Krishna ने जैसे कोई अपने मुंह से इतनी तारीफ नहीं करता ना अपनी. We need, जैसे कि मुझे अगर मान लो नव्या की तारीफ करनी है, राइट, तो मैं करूंगी, वो इतने अच्छे से अपनी तारीफ नहीं करेगी, मैं बोलूंगी वो ये करती है, वो करती है, राइट. Like, मैं रवि प्रभु की तारीफ कर सकती हूँ अच्छे से. He would not be able to glorify himself. So those are Krishna's words. He has given instructions for people. He has not really glorified himself that much. Just like chapter 10 में थोड़ा बहुत he has talked.
Vyasadeva himself was quite unhappy after writing all this literature. He himself was a bit dissatisfied that whatever I prepared was not enough. And then he asked his Guru, why do you feel that my literature is not full, it's not complete? And then the Guru said, you need to glorify the Lord. And that only way is completeness.
And as you rightly said, Mataji, everything he must have described, I just realized this thinking. But Krishna was not in the center. Krishna was just kept here and there. So he said, bring Krishna in center and then write everything, and then you will be satisfied and your voice will be free.
एंड ऐसे ही एक और एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं, जैसे कि मिठाई है, मिठाई का डब्बा कोई आपको देता है, आप डब्बा खोलो, उसमें बस 1-2 लड्डू पड़े हैं, राइट, बट वी वांट द फुल डब्बा फुल ऑफ मिठाई, राइट. So this Bhagavatam is not only the dabba full of mithai, the dabba is also made of mithai. Dabbe ki packing, wrapping is also made of mithai. So ab dabbe ko bhi kha jao. It's that nectarian. So let's read the purport of this, and please take turns. Let's maybe read till here. थोड़ा purport पढ़ते हैं प्रभुपाद का. Maybe not the whole thing because it's really long. Okay, let's read from here. Let's read this paragraph. Very loud, okay? Everybody needs to hear on Zoom.
Wonder are too many materialistic activities by people in general all over the world. There is no wonder that person or a nation is lost. Another person or nation on a slight provocation. That's the rule of this age, folly or blind. The atmosphere is already polluted with corruption of all description, and everyone knows it well. There are so many unwanted literatures full of materialistic ideas of sense gratification. In many countries, their body is appointed by the state to develop and sense literature. And this means that neither the government nor the responsible leaders of the public want such literature. Yet it is in the marketplace because the people want it for sense gratification. Okay, let's see somebody else wants. Mataji, nahin, but, well, who has not spoken or done anything yet? Oh, really? Okay.
खाना मिलेगा नहीं बेटा प्रसाद अगर काम नहीं करेगा.
The people in general want to read, that is a natural instinct, but because their minds are polluted, they want such literatures. Under the circumstances, transcendental literature like Srimad Bhagavatam will not only diminish the activities of the corrupt minds of the people in general, but also it will supply food for their hankering after reading some interesting literature. In the beginning, they may not like it because one suffered from
jaundice,
is reluctant to take sugar candy. But we should know that sugar candy is the only remedy for jaundice. Similarly, let there be systematic propaganda for popularizing reading of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, which will act like sugar candy for the jaundice-like condition of sense gratification. When men have a taste for this literature, the other literatures which are catering towards the society will then automatically cease. We are sure, therefore, that everyone in the society will welcome Srimad Bhagavatam, even though it is not presented with so many faults, for it is recommended by Sri Nārangi, who has very kindly appeared in the shop. So we just read the second paragraph. We didn't do the first because it's really long. Yeah, it is very long, so that's why. You want to read? Let's read till here. Let's read this part. Mataji, aap padho. Just okay.
It is the qualification of the great thinkers to pick up the best, even from the worst. It is said the intelligent man should pick up nectar from a stock of poison, should accept gold even from a filthy place, should accept a good and qualified wife even from an obscure family, and should accept a good lesson even from a man or from a teacher who comes from untouchable. These are some of the ethical instructions for everyone in every place without exception. But a sage is far above the level of an ordinary man. He is always absorbed in glorifying the Supreme Lord because by broadcasting the holy name and fame of the Supreme Lord, the polluted atmosphere of the world will change. And as a result of propagating the transcendental literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, people will become sane in their transactions.
So, just to discuss a little bit more. So, Vyasadeva basically, Narad Muni basically told Vyasadeva that the literatures that do not glorify the Lord, they are worthless, and the ones that are, even though they're imperfectly composed, but they're glorifying the Lord, are they have the power to sanctify this whole world, right? So then somebody can say, when I read Bhagavatam, it is boring to me. I'm not able to
read that much. I have a taste for other things, but I don't have taste for Hari Katha, like sitting in the class or listening to Bhagavatam. I don't have taste for Hari Katha, basically. So Narad Muni is saying to develop taste for Hari Katha, right? But someone may not have taste. So what would you tell them how to develop taste for Hari Katha? We know that it is the best thing for us. It will take us to the highest platform for the soul. So there are many ways, right? But one of the ways is by doing seva. So by doing seva, you can actually seva karne se, you do develop taste for Hari Katha, right? By eating prashadam, you do develop taste for Hari Katha. By following 4 regulative principles like no meat eating, no illicit relationships like that, no intoxication, you develop taste for Hari Katha. So those things also help you to develop taste for Hari Katha. But the most important thing is that the causeless mercy of the devotees and the Lord, that the Hari Katha may come into your life. So just हम book distribution के लिए जाते हैं, right? We just give some people books. So that is, and they may have some spiritual credit, some sukriti of their own, that they came in contact with a devotee and they talked to the devotee nicely, and devotee just prayed to the Lord, please let him develop taste for Hari Katha. So the causeless mercy of the devotees, that they are praying for you, they are your well wishers. So causeless mercy of Lord and devotees most important. So उससे taste develop हो सकता है. There is, I'll show you a couple verses, because we are all trying to read and discuss Hari Katha so many times, and we feel sleepy, we feel bored, we want to do other things. But let me show you another verse by a very amazing devotee of the Lord, and his name is Sri Uddhav Ji. Uddhav Ji is a pure devotee of the Lord. What does he say about the benefits of Hari Katha? All sins are destroyed. All good fortune is created by the Supreme Lord's qualities, activities, and appearances, and words that describe these 3 things animate, beautify, and purify the world. On the other hand, words bereft of his glories are like the decorations on a corpse. So, so this is Uddhav Ji, right? He's saying that the words that describe the name, fame, glories of the Lord, they are the best because they purify. Kyun? Because see, the material world was designed by Krishna for us to escape this world, right? He put these instruments in place for us to get out and come back to him, right? He put Srimad Bhagavatam in place so we can get out. So those are the things that cater to your soul, those things, those instruments that he put in place. But other things that are keeping us entangled here, they're just catering to your body. Or body kya hai? Body is dead matter. So it's being compared to a corpse by the. So if you're just catering to your body but not to the soul, then you're just decorating a corpse, right? It's like mirror mein khade ho, mirror ke samne, but you're decorating, you're putting lipstick on the mirror, not on the person. But the real person is the soul, right? You're not decorating that real person, you're decorating the reflection which you're seeing. That does not help. That is not the decoration that is needed. That is a decoration on a mirror. It is an illusion. It is a decoration of a corpse. So this is Sri Uddhav Ji speaking, and Uddhav Ji was a very, very close associate of Krishna, right? He's a disciple of Krishna, actually direct disciple of Krishna. Just couple who are considered the topmost devotees of the Lord. Among Brijvasis? No. Among Brijvasis? Gopis. So let's hear what Gopis have to say on the matter of Hari Katha. This is very beautiful verse, another memory verse. Tav kathamritam tapta jivanam kavi viriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Grinanti Bhurida Jana. This is Gopi's Geet. This is Gopi Geet. This is the Gopi's song of separation. When they were separated from Krishna, what did they say? The nectar of your words and the description of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations transmitted by learned sages eradicate one's sinful reactions. So, paap khatam ho jate hain, right? And bestow good fortune. Uddhav ji ne bhi ye do baatein boli thi. Good fortune aata hai and paap khatam ho jate hain, whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcasted all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly, those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. Tab kathamritam, your katha is amrit. In this tapta jivanam, in this suffering, in this feverish life, material world, right? So this is Gopi saying this. So many great devotees, they have glorified Harikatha, and we are very much like crows right now, but we have to try to become swans. And we're not completely crows or completely swans. We have certain percentage of crows in us and certain percentage of swans. But as we grow through this life, we have to try to increase the percentage of swan and decrease the percentage of crows, right? So one of the very beautiful things I heard is when you sit in front of the Lord, when you sit in front of the deity, or when you're praying, basically, when you're praying, these are the 4 things typically people pray for. Actually, 3 things people pray when they're praying. One is that they express their desires to the Lord and they request for them to be fulfilled, right? The next level they pray for is forgiveness of some sins or some bad things, to be absolved from those sinful activities. So forgiveness. Third is people that are a little bit more higher consciousness. They'll say gratitude, gratitude, thankfulness for everything that you have given me, right? But there is one thing, the 4th thing, the highest thing that they don't do, which if we start doing in our prayers, we can develop the taste for Harikatha and we can increase our swan quotient quite a bit. What is that? Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Sit in front of the Lord and praise him. उन्हीं की तारीफ उन्हीं को करो. जैसे कि मैं क्लास दे रही हूँ, right? What I'm doing kirtan, right? Glorification of the Lord. You're doing shravnam. So sit in front of the deity, or when you're praying, just glorify the Lord as if you're giving a class to the Lord. तो जैसे गोपीज क्या कर रही हैं? तव कथामृतम. उन्हीं की ग्लोरीज उन्हीं को ही बोल रहे हैं. आपकी कथा अमृत है. तव कथामृतम. आपकी कथा अमृत है. ऐसे praise करो Lord को. Praise the Lord. So that's the highest thing to do. So but praising the Lord, by glorifying the Lord, by doing the kirtan, by teaching each other. Krishna says, it recommends this in Bhagavad Gita, that my devotees talk about me with each other. So that is the way to develop taste for Harikatha, and that is a way to improve our swan-like qualities and decrease our crow-like mentality. I'll stop here. Anybody wants to share anything? If this is Bhagavatam, if we can adapt a little bit of Bhagavatam in our life, it is, you saw it has the power to absolve you from sins, which is not our goal, but still that will happen as a side effect. it is a byproduct कि जैसे दाल लेने या कुछ लेने जाते हो, सब्जी लेने, तो धनिया फ्री में मिलता है ना, तो ऐसे ये करने से हमारा गोल है लविंग सर्विस ऑफ द लॉर्ड, राइट? भक्ति. लेकिन ये सब चीजें, पाप कटना, कर्म कटना, ये सब चीजें साथ में धनिया की तरह फ्री में मिलती रहेंगी. सो दैट यू डोंट हैव टू वरी अबाउट, राइट? गुड फॉर्च्यून आना, मटेरियल लाइफ सक्सेसफुल होना, उसमें कंफर्ट्स आना, वो सब चीजें वो भगवान देख लेंगे. He says, I carry what you lack and preserve what you have. So you don't have to worry about that. All
language improve होता है, vocabulary मेरा बढ़ता है सब पढ़ने से. That's
Prabhupada's English.
English language is so strong, so just it gets.
And look at his humility. What does he say in the last line of this purport? This is amazing. He says, even though it is now presented with so many faults, Prabhupada is saying, why is Prabhupada in his humility? Because he's a Bengali man. He's saying, my English is not that good. Look at his purport. This is what he has written. Amazing English, amazing vocabulary. And he's saying that this may be presented with so many faults. And actually, this is a very nice thing to understand. These books were translated into French and German and Spanish, and think of any Chinese and Japanese. And these languages do not even have some of the words, right? Like transcendental or devotional service. क्या उसको translate करें? उसको कैसे translate करें? So this was a very big conundrum for devotees. So they came up with words. So कितना मतलब, और ये, it is so nectarian. The English, the prose, the language is amazing. और इसको प्रभुपाद बोल रहे हैं कि I'm presenting it with so many faults in his humility. There is absolutely, faultless Bhagavatam. So I just.
Thank you, Mother. You explained so well, and I think I can relate with your statement what you just made, that when people ask you how both of you progress so fast and steadily on the devotional path, because you chose to do the Bhagavatam every day. That is a very, very, very true, and I think I realize that. Because all of us have been doing bhakti, but we did not sincerely and consistently did the Bhagavatam. That was the only, I can see the variable that made a difference. So Bhagavatam is very, very powerful, yes.
Yes.
And again, thank you. You always explain so well. So as you said, the spirituality will come, spiritual knowledge will come, but in the byproduct, so many other things will come just as it is, like free. For like person like me, I get little more vocabulary. My language improves. My writing ability improves when I read all this purport.
Yes, Prabhuji. So my Guru Maharaj says books contain ideas and thoughts, right? So what are you putting out there? What are you reading? What are you putting in your body and what are you putting out there? And so what ideas and thoughts are we putting in our head? So if somebody's taking a daily dose, Prabhupada, you read that line about jaundice, right? So jaundice में क्या होता है कि मीठी चीज जो है वो कड़वी लगती है, right? But that meaty cheese is also the treatment for jaundice. So initially, when we take Bhagavatam, we may feel bored, we may feel restless, we may not be able to focus, we may be sleepy, like, oh, I want to be done, just, So that is like giving sweet to a jaundiced person. We are jaundiced, we are feverish by this world, right? We are so engaged in this, so entrapped in this, so entangled. We just want to agitate our senses and give pleasure to the senses, to this body all the time. We are identifying with this body so thoroughly that is us. The body is us, right? Senses is us. We don't realize. We say this, that we are the soul, not the body, but this realization is very difficult to achieve, that I'm the soul, not this body. So soul को cater ही नहीं करते, सिर्फ body को ही cater करते रहते हैं, agitate करते रहते हैं बार बार अपनी body को, right? So we are diseased, we are jaundiced. And to that jaundiced person, when you give something to fix the medicine, the sweet Bhagavatam that tastes bitter, जैसे jaundice वाले व्यक्ति को मीठी चीज bitter लगती है, but that is actually the medicine for him also. So this acts like medicine for completely low consciousness people. It acts as a nectar. It is the enjoyment for the Paramhamsas. So they also read it and we also read it, right? So we have the effect of getting treated and they have the effect of enjoying and bliss. Matchata madgat parana bodhyanta parasparam katyantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So they are feeling satisfied and take bliss in it. So what books, what we are reading, what newspaper, if you're just reading newspapers, magazines, philosophies here and there, novels, that is what Uddhavji is describing as the decoration on a corpse. I think that was Akrura actually, not the Uddhavji. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, both are pure devotees of the Lord. Okay, we'll stop here. Anyone wants to share any points or questions? Yes.
I don't see why anyone thinks Bhagavatam is boring because it has stories in it.
Yeah, there's so many stories.
He has a point because I don't know if some people see that once the channel, it's an addiction and like I know from experience. Watch it all throughout. You just get involved in the stories. It's like stories. You forget your worries just listening to them.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually it's a perfect जिसको बोलते हैं, everything is like self-explanatory. It doesn't take long to develop the taste. Initially, any changes for us we resist, but after some time you get that nectar and you want to listen, you want to hear. Even like I can say from my experience too, like even if it is so late in the night for me, even if I'm doing all my chores, but I want to listen at least 1 hour of the from the one of the lecturers like Guru that they are talking about. And sometimes I go sleep by then. It just puts me to sleep nicely. So it doesn't take much to. It is like, okay, I'm missing something. Even if I've done long hours of day, still I want to get that 30 minutes, 40 minutes of Bhagavatam.
Long always says, "Hey, man, what's in there?
Yeah, see, that's the purpose of religion, right? To know God, to love God. Prabhupada says that all the time, to know God, to love God. Any path, any philosophy, any book, any so-called scriptures, whatever, if they are not helping you to know God or to love God, then that is cheating dharma. That is ketab dharma. And Bhagavatam, in the very beginning, says, Dharma projita ketabhatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam, that this is Ketab Dharma. This Ketab Dharma is not encouraged in Bhagavatam. We're not talking about Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha. No, we're talking about the one that non-envious people, Nirmatsaranam Satam, the purest of the devotees enjoy. So this is not talking about cheating Dharma. So this is not talking about, this is about love of God. This is not about fear of God. This is not about duty for God. This is not about asking your wishes and desires from God. This is about love of God. The highest reason with which we exchange relationships. We don't exchange relationships with somebody out of fear or out of desires, or those are very low reasons to have a relationship with somebody, right? Or because they fulfill my desires, because I'm afraid of them, or because I have a duty towards them. Fine, but the best is if you have love for them, right? So so that is what Bhagavatam encourages, love for God. It helps you to develop that love for Lord. So please add some Bhagavatam in your life. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, the glorious Granth. It's called Granth Raj. It arose at the end of the Dwapar Yuga, at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, like the sun, because Kali Yuga was going to be very hard. It was going to be very full of conflicts, Iron Age, right? So in the Iron Age, what you need is something very, very sweet, very melodious, very nectarian that can purify us.
Even the month is coming, we will be reaching out to you guys because we have to get the Bhagavatam to all of our devotees home. The month is coming.
Whoever does not have Bhagavatam, okay. So before we started reading Bhagavatam, we have to go dial back. The first thing we did was invited Bhagavatam into our house, because Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. So Krishna has taken incarnation. This is the Granth Avatar. So Krishna has taken incarnation in the form of a book, right? Each book represents a aspect of the Lord. कि कौन सा भगवान का माथा है, कौन सा head है, कौन सा उनका face है, क्या उनकी chest है, क्या उनकी arms है. Each book represents one thing. So please invite Srimad Bhagavatam into your house. But if not, at least start engaging in Harikatha, read more, hear more, try to know more about Lord, develop love for Him. That is the goal of life. Thank you very much for hearing. Vancha kautarupyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah gurve gaurachandraya radhikaya tadalaya krishnaya krishna bhaktaya tad bhaktaya namo namah. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की, संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining online.
Nārangi Mata and Nagarjuna Prabhu ki.
We'll stop the meeting. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna.